And aha, so we're live on YouTube, and the people here are the inner circle party. And it's just wonderful to see who's joined us. Uh, Siddharth and I will start the session as we usually do, just by saying greetings and gratitude to the animals that are joining us now, and also this time really focusing on peace, especially for the animals that we are. So, all of the animals, all of the sentient beings, everybody that's interconnected, we're all part of this beautiful planet. And we have Mariam, who will be hosting today, and she is bringing the Persian New Year to us. So, we're introducing a different culture, and part of HOX Zodiac is that we're kind of connecting different cultures and shifting the same ingredients into different recipes and enjoying and loving the diversity. And then Kathy Brew will start us off with a beautiful presentation. She's coming in from New York. Clarissa will follow her. She is coming to us from Brazil, and she's a part of ArtSci for many years, always participating in HOG. She actually hosted a HOG Zodiac in Brazil. Alice is here from Seattle. She participated in HOG Zodiac when Siddharth and I hosted it at the museum, actual history there. Jadwiga will join us from Poland. She last minute wrote to me, I'm a dragon too. And I was like, oh my God, please join us. She's in Poland. So that's particularly touching to have her join at this point, knowing what's going on in that part of the world. And then we have a special guest, Amir, who's also coming to us from New York, who will be on the sidelines commenting spontaneously and also introducing some of the Persian cultures. Lily is joining us from Ljubljana. Ljubljana in Slovenia. The mascot of Ljubljana is the dragon. So if you've ever been there, you'll see bridges and dragons everywhere. It's just amazing. We'll find out a little bit more about that. Axtine is joining us a number of times. It's wonderful to have her as well from Texas. And Axtine actually just published a book together with Judy about these kind of projects. And Siddharth and I wrote a piece about building community through projects that are really just meant about that. And then, of course, Nina Zagledi coming to us from Canada, who's also been participating for so long and is such a good friend. Happy to see Aileen, who joined us from New York, I think, or LA. You're in LA, Pasadena. Wonderful to see you. So just a very quick, let's say a few words about the project, about what we've been doing for 13 years now. This project keeps going. It's a labor of love. Nobody's funding us or showing us, whatever. We just do it because we want to. So Sid, say a few words.
Yeah, thank you,
From
Victoria.
Seattle too.
We've been working on the HOX Zodiac project for, as she said, 13 years now. It came about when we started talking about HOX genes, which control the body plans and make your head, and two hands and 2 feet, and how these genes are pretty much the same across all different animals, controlling different kinds of body plans. And we really wanted to highlight the fact that even though we look around us and we see all these different kinds of creatures, underneath it all, it is all kind of the same. And the dragon is very interesting for us because we keep talking about mythical hybrid creatures and kind of engineering these creatures in the labs. And the dragon would be the quintessential one amongst them. And there's been a couple of, especially with Game of Thrones coming up, people have been talking about how to create a dragon and what different ingredients you need to put in it. And it seems there are some beetles that throw out venom and actually can breathe fire. And so they're trying to figure out what kind of microbes need to live in the gut of the dragon to make it breathe fire. So it's kind of exciting to think about how to engineer a creature like this. And maybe, who knows, maybe down the line, one day there would be a possibility where man would kind of engineer something like this in the lab. So I'm excited to see all of you, and especially in this occasion of the Persian New Year, which inspired me also to cook. So I'm very excited about this. So
And sorry, Deborah, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce you. Deborah Giannoni is also joining us from LA. She's been a wonderful tigress, and it's been great to have her play around with us during the year of the tiger. It's a very strange time. It's the year of the water tiger, and that means a lot. And Lily actually was the one that really introduced us to some of those ideas. And so when you combine the dragon with the tiger, it's pretty powerful energy. Just a few welcoming to everybody. I will remove my background for a second so you can see this. What we do when we're in person, we would all have this lab vestibule with red wine and say hello and drink with that. And then, so that signifies our blood that we all share. And then we also eat fusilli, which signifies the gene, the DNA. So that's how we start our meal. And we say thank you to all the animals around the table. And we honor the animals that are missing. We're wanting the animals that are disappearing to come back. And we want to thank the animals for being our companions, being our lab experiments, being our food. And we serve them. We eat our food or we allow ourselves to be eaten. And we welcome everybody to the table. And with that, I'll pass it on to Mariam.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'd like to, first of all, welcome you. Um, it's a pleasure for me to having you on Persian New Year. I'm Mariam Razi. I'm a graphic designer and independent curator based in Tehran and currently for a few months in Southern California. I'd like to tell you about Persian New Year and the special activities that we do during this festival, this 14 days festival. And this year is the year of the water tiger. And I'm super happy and excited to be working with Victoria on this special project. I will give you a brief presentation about Nowruz, and then I'll pass on the mic to our featured speakers to listen to their stories. So let me share my screen. So here we go. Happy Nowruz. Oh, let me just, okay. Nowruz, Nowruz is a combination of two Persian words. No, which means new, and Ruz, which means day. Together, they mean new day. Nowruz is the name for the celebrations that observe the new year for many Persian and Central communities. The exact beginning of the Persian New Year occurs when the season changes from winter to spring on the vernal equinox, which usually happens on 20th or 21st March each year. Nowruz is a festival that has been celebrated for thousands of years. It is a holiday that is celebrated by people from diverse ethnic communities and religious backgrounds. Nowruz is partly rooted in the religious tradition of Zoroastrianism. People all over the world celebrate Nowruz, but it originated in the geographical area called Persia in the Middle East and Central Asia. The distinct culture based on the language, food, music, and leisure activities that developed among the many people and ethnic groups who lived in this area is known as Persian. Nowruz became a popular celebration among the communities that grew from these Persian influenced cultural areas. While the physical region called Persia no longer exists, the traditions of Nowruz are strong among people in Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, India, Pakistan, and Turkey. The word Persia comes from the Greek word Pars, which was used to describe the lands that stretched from the Indus Valley in the present day India and Pakistan to the Nile River in today's Egypt. The ancient Greeks called the people who lived in these areas Persian. The word Iran comes from Aryan, which was an ethnic label given to ancient peoples who migrated from the Indus Valley area towards Central Asia. In 1935, the state of Persia officially changed its name to Iran. Therefore, Iran is used to describe the contemporary country and its people, while Persia refers to a broader culture, many ethnic groups, and an ancient history that goes back 3,000 years. Nowruz is a time for family and friends to gather and celebrate the end of one year and the beginning of the next. Children have a 14-day vacation from school, and most adults do not work during the Nowruz festivities. When the Nowruz is coming, families and friends gather together and wait for tahvil to occur. That means the exact second of changing from winter to spring. Right after the moment of Nowruz, the family exchanges well wishes such as Happy New Year or Sal No Mubarak. Herb rice served with fish is a traditional and popular dish for Nowruz. Then the eldest in the family distributes special treats to everyone, and young children are given coins and cash as presents, called AD. It is also traditional for families and friends and neighbors to visit each other during the holidays. And the most interesting part, the most important activity in the celebration of Nowruz is making the haft sin table. Haft is the Persian word for the number 7, and sin is the Persian word for the letter S. Literally, the haft sin table means a table of 7 things that start with the letter S. Here are some of the items and what they symbolize. Senjet or oleaster for love and affection. Sumac or crushed spice of berries for the sunrise and the spice of life. Sabze or sprouted wheat grass for rebirth and renewal of nature. Serke or vinegar for patience and age. Sib or apple for health and beauty. Samanu or wheat pudding for fertility and the sweetness of life. And seer or garlic for good health. In addition to these 3 items, there are symbolic items that go on Haftzin table. It is customary to place a mirror on the table to symbolize reflection on the past year, a bowl of real goldfish, colored eggs to represent fertility, coins for prosperity in the new year, special flowers called hyacinths for symbolizing spring, and candles to radiate light and happiness. And also a book of wisdom like the Quran, the Holy Book of Islam, or the Shahnameh, an epic Persian story of colorful kings and princes written around 1,000 years ago. Another important item to place on the Haftzin table is a book of poetry by the famous poet Hafiz. The Haftzin table remains in the family home for 13 days after the beginning of Nowruz. The 13th day is called Sizdabedar, which literally means in Persian, getting rid of the 13th. On this day, no one stays home. Families pack a special picnic and go to the park to enjoy food, singing, playing, and of course, dancing with other families. It's customary to bring new sprouts or sabze grown specially for this occasion. At the park, the green blades of the sabze are thrown on the ground
Recording stopped.
by a
Recording
river
in progress.
to symbolize the return of the plant to nature. Sizdabedar remarks the end of the Nowruz celebrations, and the next day children returns to school and adults returns to their jobs. Here are some pictures of a lake in Tehran. It's called Chitgar. People are spending their Sizdabedar in this area. And now I'm wrapping up my presentation with a folio from Shahnameh, Book of Kings by Ferdowsi. As you can see, there is a king called Bahram Gur is fighting with a dragon from India. Thank you, everyone. Oh,
Happy New
Thank
Year.
you.
everyone
Wow.
for your time. I tried my best to have a brief presentation.
And Siddhar just said he didn't know there were dragons in India, and he's from India.
Yeah, it never was part of our mythology. But interestingly, recently we've been hearing that in most Indian mythology, there are devas and asuras. And they are actually saying that asura is actually a mispronunciation of ahura, which is the word in Persian. And
Yes.
actually, the mythologies are when the tribes in India were fighting the tribes in Persia. And that's where those words are coming from, is what they're discovering now. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, interesting.
Amazing. And the table, I love it. It's so wonderful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And now we have Kathy Brew coming in. There we go. She's on.
Dragon. Yes, well, I'm delighted to be part of today's HOX Zodiac honoring the vernal equinox and the Persian New Year. And as you probably all know, many cultures, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere, have celebrated this time as their true New Year, because spring signals rebirth and renewal, and it's literally a time of blossoming, tying us all to the natural world. Their spring equinox is celebrated all around the world today. And I remember one time being in Thailand around this time of year, and their New Year is around this time of year, and it's called Songkran. And they have bowls of water. And if you're out and about, you get doused with water. And it's, again, it's sort of a fertility thing and that kind of thing. So I'd like to acknowledge Victoria and Siddharth for initiating the collaboration and for inviting me to participate in this day, celebrating the seasonal change and honoring the dragon. Some say that a dragon lives in the oceans during the winter months and ascends to the heavens in the spring, so it seems appropriate to conjure the dragon today. For many years, I thought I was a snake because my birth year is mostly devoted to the snake. But because my birthday falls earlier in the year with the Chinese calendar zodiac, I discovered that I'm actually a dragon. And in fact, I'm a water dragon. And in doing some research in preparation for today and honoring the real animals, I learned that there's an actual animal called a Chinese water dragon. And I'd like to just quickly show you what that real creature looks like. So hold on one sec, and I'm going to just pull it up briefly. And I didn't do a PowerPoint, so I'm just going to, I'm just going to pull these items as they come up. Let's see, where is the real dragon? Sorry, just for a second. Okay. So it's opening up, and I will share my screen for a second. And this is what it looks like. And it does look kind of like a dragon.
It's a Komodo, right?
No, but it's called a Chinese water dragon. I'll send the link for afterwards too. It's
Beautiful.
literally, it's called a Chinese.
And it's green, which is appropriate.
Yeah, right. So I don't need to share anymore. So how do I unshare? Or did I?
You did.
Okay. Okay. So according to the Chinese, a dragon is composed of 9 different parts: head of a camel, eyes of a hare, sometimes said to be a demon, ears of a cow, horns of a stag, neck of a snake, belly of a clam, claws of an eagle, paws of a tiger, and scales of a carp. Essentially, dragons are the epitomization of hybridization. And actually, I feel that's appropriate for me because I've always felt that I'm a hybrid person. I used to say I was a Jill of all trades, and maybe I needed an accordion kind of business card to reflect the different hats or roles I've played. Filmmaker, artist, curator, programmer, cultural worker, professor, educator, and beyond. But back to the dragon. It's a mythical creature and is found in almost every culture of the world. So there you go, Siddharth. It's the only mythical creature of all the animals in the Chinese zodiac. Here, the dragon represents good luck, strength, and health. It's the male element, yang, a force of action. So in the yin-yang symbol, it represents the white part, the light, the sun, and is considered positive. From the south, hot and external. In one graphic I found on the web, it states that lucky colors for those born in the year of the dragon include gold, white, and gray. So I thought I would put on my gold Chinese outfit, which has a connection to dragons for me. When I got this when I was a project director at an artist in residency program in San Francisco called Cap Street Project. And I was working with a very amazing artist, James Lee Byers. And one of his nicknames for me was Golden Dragon. He didn't know my Chinese zodiac, but we spent a lot of time together in Chinatown. So anyway, back to a little bit more dragon mythology. Female dragons control earthly waters like rivers, lakes, seas, and wells. And some people also believe dragons symbolize fortune and good luck. In Japan, the dragon's a mythical beast thought to hatch from an egg after 3,000 years. And 5 of the many dragons in Japanese lore are regarded as guardians of the various quarters of the world. The black dragon rules the north, the red rules the south, the blue rules the east, and the white dragon the west, while the yellow dragon rules the center. The dragon's hexagram number is 59. That stands for reuniting or dispersion. I'm going to share a visual of the hexagram for a second. Too, and I'm going to show a very unusual version of the hexagram. I did it with food. Do the share again. So this is my food version of the hexagram, and I'm using one of the ingredients, tofu, that's supposed to be good for a dragon. But I'm going to just read a little bit from the hexagram. Good for all of us to consider today. All cultures conduct social, political, and religious rituals. Those involved in creative projects should now concern themselves with communicating. Shun elitism or egotism in your work, lest you lose the true thread of creativity. Look for the symbols, rhythms, and patterns that have inspired people for all times and incorporate them in your work. Make a sincere attempt to meet the social responsibility of the artist. And I think that seems particularly important in this time we are on the planet. So now to the foods. This is in the HOX Zodiac wheel, but recommended ingredients. I'm going to just share a few of the things that I made for this. I'm a pescatarian, so I do eat seafood, but I didn't make this.
Well,
but,
that's perfect for the dragon. It's all about seafood with the dragon.
Yeah, but I didn't make any today. So
That's okay. We'll eat fish for you.
yeah, well, let them eat fish. But I showed this earlier. Lemons, radishes, nuts are one of the items that's suggested. Spices, cinnamon, cumin,
Yes.
turmeric. Is that showing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I made, I showed you the tofu I Ching hexagram, but I made some spicy tofu. And I guess we'll show that quickly. And I'll send the recipes. I also made lentil soup, which I like making soups in the winter. And so that's lentil soup. And then spinach was another ingredient that was suggested for dragons. So I made sauteed spinach with garlic, which is another item, and some
Yum.
It's one of my faves.
Making me hungry.
So on a website about Chinese dragons, there's a section about the symbolism between dragons and colors, where they stated that the white dragon symbolizes purity, just like in the West. However, people sometimes also associate it with death and mourning and see it as a bad omen.
Kathy, stop sharing for now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I thought I did. Well, I thought by getting off of it. Oops. Let's see. How do I stop? Am I stopped?
Okay. Yeah, you stopped.
Sorry.
No problem.
So sorry. So back to this idea of the white dragon also symbolizing, or some people associating it with death and mourning and see it as a bad omen. I'm going to conclude my section by reading from a book called The Gift of Shamanism, and I am going to show one more image that relates to it. And this is a very personal story, and I hope you don't mind that I am going to read a few pages from this book. And its subchapter is The White Dragon. So this is a quote. My husband, Roberto, has recently been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. It's stage 4, and we are looking into alternative support in addition to the medical treatments he's undergoing. It's great that you're working in the Quechua Inca tradition, as Roberto is originally from Peru. There have actually been a few rituals in the past weeks in Peru where he's been the focus, but something in the same time zone, geographical location, would be helpful at this time, to be sure. Roberto's wife, Kathy, wrote me this in an email, to which I responded, I will do my best. It is in the spirit's hands. We set a time to meet. On the scheduled day, Roberto arrived with his wife at his side. He was tall, slender, and frail, with long, smooth brown hair. He wore stylish black round glasses like some celebrity, and behind them were the most loving eyes I've ever seen. But they also held distress. I invited him to sit by the altar across from me. He saw me looking at his glasses. Somebody famous once advised me that if I ever wanted to be recognizable, I have to wear something outlandish like this. So I did, and it worked, he smiled. He then told me calmly in a soft Spanish accent, with no trace of fear in his eyes and with a half apologetic smile, I don't have any illusions. I am not afraid of dying. I'm not a fighter. I accept my destiny. Everyone has to go sometime, and maybe this is just my time. I looked at this man and wondered, is he enlightened? Before we do the healing session, we need to do a candle diagnostic reading, I told him. Do you agree? With a lot of concentration and intention, Roberto slowly brushed the white candle over his fragile body and then handed it to me. The room was quiet with anticipation. His wife sat on the couch watching closely. I took a few minutes to observe the flame. The disease clearly could be seen in his body as a big dark blob in the lower part of his abdomen. It had already spread massively to the rest of his body, creating a heavy cloud of negative energy. From the configuration of the blue flame and its flow at the bottom, it was clear that Roberto was extremely connected to spirit and had strong intuition and dreams. I'm sure you're constantly having many visions and dreams, I said, looking up at him. Yes, it's true, but I buried those abilities down deep within me. He lowered his eyes and fidgeted with his thin hands. Did you have an imaginary friend as a 4 or 5-year-old? I asked. He moved uncomfortably in his chair and raised his eyes. Yes, when I was a very young boy in Peru, I had an imaginary friend. It was a white dragon. I was very different from the rest of my intellectual business-like family, and I was embarrassed to share it with them, as no one believed me, and even more so, they ridiculed me. I buried him within myself and forgot about him until now. Thank you for connecting me with him again. and he began to weep as if a dam had just broken open. We sat in silence a while, then I took a look at his palms. You are very sensitive, but also an independent, free-thinking man, maybe even stubborn. The words just came right out of my mouth. You are full of passion with a great need for expression. The source of your creativity comes from your profound intuition, the feminine energy. You seek intimacy in relationships, and I see that you are not concerned so much about making money. Am I correct so far? Yes, you are right about that, he chuckled and looked at Kathy, who smiled in agreement. What is it that you do for a living, I asked. I'm a filmmaker. I've made documentary films about creative artists in Europe and in the States. I'm also very open to all kinds of spiritual practices. At this point from her seat on the couch, Kathy interjected. My husband is very humble. His films have been exhibited at many international film festivals and have won many awards. Roberto chuckled and smiled humbly. I'm happy you made a connection with your white dragon. It's your power animal in this shamanic tradition. It signifies spiritual and magical life transformation. He is a powerful warrior who can blow fire out his nostrils at his adversaries. His character is one of strength and courage. Can you connect with his power to defeat your sickness? I asked as I prepared him for a healing ceremony. I don't know how to, he hesitantly replied. Let's just try. Close your eyes. Anyway, it was wonderful to meet my white dragon. Thank you for this gift. I'm going to kind of skip through. I realize this is a little bit longer than it needs to be. But so Roberto came to my office for another session, and then I saw him again in his apartment when he was bedridden. Although his physical body was deteriorating rapidly, his spirit was strong, and he was contained and full of light. We spoke about his work, the famous people he'd worked with. We also spoke about great books, and I mentioned that previously I'd once had a fine art career. You must paint again, he said. I create in a different way now. But he insisted that I must do my visual art as well. Thank you again for another powerful and meaningful healing session. His engagement with you has been very important for him and me. It's great to have these times with you. The white dragon was very happy to have your presence this morning. He is sleeping so peacefully this evening. Some weeks passed and I heard from Kathy again. Roberto was in a hospice and had requested one more ceremony and ritual before I left for a trip abroad. When I entered Roberto's hospice room, it was clear this would be our last ceremony. He was lucid and very emotionally open to reflecting on his life as he faced this last phase of the journey. He was glad to see me and we held hands and had a heartfelt conversation. Do you have any regrets before you leave? I asked him. He smiled and laughed with a mischievous look and said, there was once a New Yorker cartoon. It showed a man on his deathbed. There was a priest by his side asking him the same question. The patient answered, I wish I had worked harder. He burst out laughing, holding his bloated belly, and then said seriously, I want you to promise me that you'll start painting again. I held his hand, looked into his beautiful brown eyes, and made him a promise. I will paint a special illustration in the book I'm working on. Oh, that'll be wonderful, he smiled. I set up my shamanic tools. He was ready to perform the cleansing ceremony. Sorry, I just am trying to, okay. He was leaving, the white, okay. Kathy, okay, it was round pouring in. Somewhere in the middle of the ceremony, something unusual happened. I was ready to blow the agua florida on Roberto. The white dragon appeared. Joyously, he was playing hide and seek above his bed and making big somersaults in the air. I was delighted to see the vitality and humor of this magical creature having so much fun as his owner's body lay so broken. The white dragon gleefully told me, I'm not ready to leave yet. I want to play some more. There is so much more I will still do here. And I said, but Roberto is ready to leave his body. Give me 6 more weeks, the dragon said. He finished the ceremony. I was really confused by that surprising message. This was really unexpected, as Roberto had spent one of the longest times in the hospice. We hugged and said goodbye. I packed up my belongings. I hugged Kathy, and to her great surprise, I said I would see them when I returned from a trip abroad in 6 weeks. She looked puzzled, as if she didn't understand what I was saying. Yes, it didn't make any sense. And so it was. Almost 6 weeks later, the day I landed in New York, I got a call from Kathy. The white dragon is still with us, she said with a sparkle in her voice. Yes, I would love for you to come. I went for one more visit. Unable to eat or even open his eyes, Roberto was still with us, whispering loving words as he traveled back and forth between different realms. 3 days later, his soul passed on exactly as his power animal, the white dragon, had said he would. I was not yet consciously aware of this, but late that evening, I felt some kind of communication from the white dragon and sent Kathy an email just as it turned into the next morning, January 11th. My message was a very simple one, question mark. Blessings. It was quite a journey to be sure, and as you say, it was in the hands of spirit. Kathy wrote back in an email a few days after Roberto's passing, and I just want to conclude by showing you the image that was drawn of the white dragon. And I want to just say
Who drew the image, Kathy?
Itzhak Beery, the guy who wrote this book. It's in the book.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm just going to pull it up.
Amazing.
Where is it? Sorry. White dragon. Okay. This is it. Share the screen. Share it like this. Wish I could make this bigger, but
Oh,
so that's in the book. The white dragon.
okay. We'll share the image separately when we edit this. It's
Okay.
perfect. It's beautiful.
Anyway,
Thank you.
thank you for listening.
What a touching story. And this is in a book, you said?
Yeah, the book is called, and I'll send it. The book is called The
Yeah.
Gift of Shamanism.
If you could just stop the sharing.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Where is
Wow,
it?
everybody is amazed by this story. It's so touching. And it seems so appropriate to me from an individual to collective level. You know what I mean? It's a collective story.
Yeah. Did I stop the sharing?
Yes, you stopped sharing.
Someone stopped for me. Yeah, and I just thought it's an interesting.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right. And from New York, we go off to Brazil, to a Brazilian fire dragon, Clarissa. Here she is. Dragon Depot.
Oh my God.
Welcome, welcome. So great you're joining. Ah, beautiful.
So, yeah, I'm always happy to join. And I think it warms my heart and brings tons of very interesting things to think of as a reflection. And thank you, Vivi. Thank you, Sid, for keeping this project going, you know, despite it's just like something that's self-organizing, I think. And I believe this is the beauty of the project. So I was wondering on what to share, since this is the year of the tiger and I'm a dragon. And today we're honoring dragons. And so I thought that I could talk about Komodo dragons and the way they're still here, yeah. And so they can remember us that this kind of creatures, they were sharing the planet Earth with us. And somehow we just decided to classify these creatures as more mythical or imaginary. As Sid said, we imagine they are some like mixed creatures, edged creatures. But I found some interesting things about Komodo dragon as the belief that the dragon had not fire, but a couple of very dangerous bacteria in its mouth. And so when the Komodo dragon hurt someone with the teeth, so it was not like the venom, but the bacteria who made the victim to bleed to death. But recently, the scientists, they did some experiments. They discovered that it has a venom similar to a snake. So it's an hybrid creature, not exactly a reptile. The classification is a little bit confused, and I found it was a beautiful incursion in the information about the Komodo dragon. But I decided in the end to go deep in the ways we use energy. And since the dragon is a fire starter, so maybe you can use this moment to meditate on the way our search for energy sources or more environmental friendly energy sources or whatever the energy sources we can have or access shapes politics, world leaders' decisions, and the way we explore people and territories. So Dragon Depot is the name of a depot in Congo and the Democratic Republic of Congo, where people who are illegally mining without any proper resource to extract the cobalt from there at the moment, and they go to exchange the ore, the cobalt ore, and they turn it into a powder, and they as when you're recycling things, then you go there and you exchange for money, yeah, but it's not just money. So this is the name of the experiment for today, is the Dragon Depot because of it. It is a picture from an article from the New York Times. I think it's from last year. And to honor the Persian New Year, to say to all the animals who joined it today, like to wish a Happy New Year, Happy Persian New Year. I found these beautiful illustrations that depict blue dragons, blue Persian dragons. They are depicted by different artists. And since cobalt it was used for apes to give blue color to ceramics, I thought it was a beautiful connection. And as an offering, it's more like tea time for me here in Brazil, since I'm joining from Fortaleza. But I thought it could be good. I'm not sure if you can see the plate.
Yes.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
just cucumber and red pepper. So I thought I could make this offer to refresh the soul or the energies of the dragons. No matter some world leaders, they are not dragons according to the Chinese zodiac, but this idea that we have some animals there or energies in nature that starts fires. So maybe we can meditate and evoke more cool energies and refreshing energies. So I thought the cucumber could bring this relief or cool down to this weekend, this month.
Yes, we need that. We need that.
So I'm a fire dragon, as I said. I was born in January 1st, 1977. And so my cat, sorry, the cat and the girl all together. So as I said, the idea is to talk about these forces that drive us to trying to find more available, sustainable, or whatever the energy source we have. And I thought of mentioning this book. I was reading this a few years ago, but it came to my mind, and this is Václav Smil. And
no, I'm listening to
it. What? Sorry.
Never mind. I just muted someone. Never mind. It's
okay, sorry. So this is just like, I think it's a very well-known book, and he's talking about energy and civilization, and it's more an interdisciplinary effort and essentially a recounting of the dominant energy sources and associated technical innovations in human history. And so he's more or less trying to directly connect the rush for energy sources and with politics or geopolitics and the organizations we have, international, whatever, the way the world is organized. Yeah. So I was sharing with Victoria this Pokemon illustrations. So it's interesting because it's about a mutation, or it's instantaneous mutations, or the way we can culturally, lots of cultures in different places on planet Earth. We believe that when we increase energy, when we have this energy expansion, so we change like our power level, we became more powerful, or in the contrary, you became less powerful. And I thought that talking about cobalt was a way to talk about the way sometimes you want to control energy, not just like having a huge expansion as a bomb. Because the main problem with the mining of cobalt in Congo, in Africa, is because we use cobalt in our batteries, like not only our phone batteries, but the electric cars batteries. So they can, the cobalt prevents the battery to just get super hot and explode, or maybe, or even we can just like use the car for a longer time without having to charge it. And when you talk, as I said, well, I think it's a global concern at the moment. And but when you talk about cobalt, you talk about Congo, and I will share just like few seconds of this video.
The Congo's mineral wealth is a freak of nature. Gold, diamonds and uranium, copper, coltan and cobalt, a key ingredient in new technology, and 60% of the world's supply is found here.
This is what they export from here. You can see the green color. This is basically what goes into your electric car battery, stops it from catching fire. This has doubled in price in the last couple of years. That's how much in demand it is.
Wealth like this should transform a country, but despite having trillions of dollars worth of minerals, the country is still poor.
So this is the main problem. It's not like exclusive, Congo's exclusivity. We have the same problem here in Brazil, we have like all over Africa, and we have issues similar to this in China as well. I was reading this article, and I just thought it's not like the article is not just mentioning this, but it was from 2020, just 2 years ago. And so we have here some considerations on the end of the oil age. Because during the pandemic from 2019 to last year, we have like just the oil going all the way down. And last year we're talking about climate catastrophes, and this year, and so the investment in renewable energy, and including the improvement of electric vehicles just was rising. And in this article, there is this consideration that the oil is over. But when you come to 2022 and we have the Russia-Ukraine crisis, so seems like it's a way to have this just avoiding the end of the oil age. So maybe it's well, when you look from like this energy or the fight for the rush for energy sources perspective, maybe you can understand this war from a different perspective. And this is the problem when you talk about cobalt. It's like around 70% of the resource. They are in Congo. So the main thing now is that Trump was not just supporting the companies, the US companies that were there before, and China came, the state companies, the government companies from China, they bought the something like LA size mining area that used to belong to the US, And now there is this struggle in competing for like the presence in Congo and the access to these resources. And so US are turning to Canada and Australia to see if they can support the ongoing research and production of electric cars by Ford, Tesla, and so on. Tesla is actually trying to reduce the use of cobalt in their car batteries, but it's not a like instantaneous process. It would take time. And I just had this like few shots from different discussions, and they're very good articles. So since we're talking about geopolitics and energy mining, so I thought it could be interesting to bring this cross-culture presence that is in Congo. It's from Ubuntu time. It was built during the 70s or like 1970, and it was built by Taiwan. So it was there. It's a pagoda. It's a sort of a garden and a temple, but it's a pagoda in Congo. So Taiwan was there investing in agriculture and trying to invite people from Congo to plant rice in wet areas. But when Congo recognized the Republic of China in 1973, so the agreements with Taiwan just like came to an end, and this is just like ruins of the pagoda. But the experiment I was doing was to invite you to sort of climb a 3D model, algorithmic 3D model I made from this, from a reading from this cobalt sample. And it works more or less like this. So I had the image as a sample, and I regulate using algorithms the high from the difference between black and white of these dots, and so it gains like this 3D shape. And as a reference to the pagoda, the ruins of the pagoda, or representing the ruins of our intentions, or the way we build and destroy things almost instantaneously when we have these changes in science, technology, and innovation. So a place where you're there exporting something, maybe tomorrow we change from cobalt to magnesium. And so considering the way we were building electric car batteries, and then Congo is just like everything in Congo is gone, and the hopes for like the people in Congo having a better life from the money coming from cobalt, they're just like over. And this is just a screenshot from the rendering process. So I had a short video. And as a funny thing, together, since we're talking about energy and dragons, and I'm a fire dragon, I thought of inviting not for a more quiet meditation, but just like a shot of energy. And this is a composition from the sound. They are producing digital sound to fake car engines in Tesla models. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this. It's super, like a super short video, but want to share. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clarissa.
That was so cool. Thank you, Clarissa. You always bring in the environmental issues that are so critical to all the animals, and considering how many species are disappearing in particular. So I just love the connection of the blue dragon and cobalt. That's super brilliant. And now we have the white dragon that was before that. It's beautiful. So Alice is joining us from Seattle, and let's hear what she's got to say.
Hello, hello everyone,
Hi.
and I'll add a wood dragon to our list.
Oh,
So I appreciate the opportunity to be here and be part of this event, and thank you to
of
Victoria
course.
and
Thank you for
Sid. Thank you so
joining.
much. Sid had mentioned about engineering a dragon, and it led me to think about my training as a developmental biologist and the idea of developmental constraints. And Richard Dawkins once wrote that you couldn't make an angel, at least an archetypical angel, because of developmental constraints. So you could have four limbs and you could have hind limbs, you could have wings, but you couldn't have all six. So in other words, you couldn't have four limbs and hind limbs and wings, and therefore you couldn't get an angel. And I thought, dragons, many of our images of dragons might fit into that same constraint. You couldn't have four limbs and wings. But then I thought, well, I respectfully disagree. You know, as a developmental biologist, yes, there are developmental constraints that we see in nature right now, but who's to say that at some point either there wasn't something that had four limbs and wings, or why not in the future? And all we need to do is modify HOX genes to do that. And so if I can borrow Victoria's image, we get HOX genes here and here that are producing the, so why not just activate them here as well and get four limbs, wings, and hind limbs? So we could maybe do that with the water dragon that Kathy mentioned, or maybe the Komodo dragon that Clarissa mentioned. In the future, will activate their HOX genes differently, and perhaps in evolutionary time we might get dragons after all. And so I thought that that's definitely not something we can do today, is to edit the genes during our session, as fun as it might be. But maybe
next workshop.
Next time we'll try that one. Yeah. But it did get me thinking about food as well. And so I thought, well, what do dragons eat? And so we can't make a dragon. Maybe we'll see about what they eat, and we could make that food. So I turned to the literature, and in The Hobbit, Smaug ate ponies, and that didn't jive with my plant-based diet issues. So I thought, no. Eustace turned into a dragon in C.S. Lewis, and he ate goats. Again, it's a problem with plant-based diet. It seemed like most dragons were carnivorous and didn't eat seafood, which fit into our dragon thing. So I said, well, we'll not go with the dragons. We'll try to move away from meat. And so what do dragons like? And dragons in the literature, again, seem to like gold and jewels, probably cobalt. Maybe that helped keep them from exploding. I don't know. But maybe something gold to eat. And there is edible gold. You see it on the Great British Baking Show and others, where they put bits of gold. I heard from my son as he flew through Dubai that you can get a golden topped hamburger in the Dubai airport. I thought, that doesn't have much nutritional value, and it really is not conducive to eating responsibly, in my view. So there's golden rice, there's other things. But then I thought, well, let's turn to one of my favorite cookbooks. And yes, I do read cookbooks for fun. And recently I've been reading, if you can see that, Indianish,
yes,
by Priya Krishna. Excellent book, where she muses on her relationship with her mother and her mother's use of American ingredients to create the Indian delicacies that they enjoyed. And in that book, there's a very nice recipe for Indianish baked potatoes. And so, of course, I got some Yukon Gold potatoes, and I use some of the spices that are part of the dragon's food. So it uses ginger, pepper, some onions, some jalapeno peppers, and a little bit of sour cream. And then you top that all with chaat masala, which is one of my favorite spice mixtures. And after all, spices were considered commodities, and maybe they're close enough to gold that we can use spices. So I bring to you Indianish baked potatoes with Yukon Gold potatoes and spices. And I wish you a very happy New Year.
Yum. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So gorgeous. Thank you. All right. So we were very lucky to hear from Jadwiga, who texted me, I'm a dragon too. And I was like, wait, come on over. Jadwiga is coming to us from Poland. And we have been texting for a bit because we've worked together many times. And I'm very concerned, as all of us are, Poland being on the border with Ukraine and all the people coming, and just the generational memory trauma is enough to rattle everybody there. So thank you so much, Jadwiga. I know I invited you super last minute. Maybe just say a few words, but I'm so humbled that you came along.
So first, thank you very much for the invitation. Of course, I didn't bring with me any food here, but I can tell you that I like experimentate with all kitchens. I haven't any trouble. Only if something is wrong for me. That's only one reason if I don't eat. And regarding the dragon, from my beginning, I follow idea that dragon is the nature is doing things because he doesn't know that is impossible. And sometimes my colleagues joking of me when they heard that I am dragon, that I am touching things that should be not for one person, but I, in spite all, try to do it. Victoria Television knows more about me, you not, but maybe in the future, if Russia not destroy our plans, we will have possibility to change more and experience. So it's shortly what can I say about me.
Thank you. Just tell us a little bit about how the situation is over there, and from you, not from the news or anything like that.
So I saw that Anna Naher is also here, but
yes, yes.
In Poland, we at this moment organize themselves, because you must understand that the biggest activity and the friendly open to Ukrainian is coming straight from the simple people and local and formal organization, private people, governments is behave like your Trump government in past. A lot is talking, nothing to do. And we are, I'm every day wake up and checking my mobile what happened in Ukraine, and of course with hope that be any miracle happen and it will be stopped. But as you can see, it's nothing changed. Every day we are given messages about all murders, and today they killed a lot of people in house for seniors. A few days ago you heard about killing people in hospitals. Russian also very horrible to own people, because there's a lot of information that they are not take care as the soldier. They are I forgot. They are need medical treatment. They are killing them. They don't care about nothing. And it's now Russia Putin and people who surrounded it behave like we are one huge beast. That's what can I say. I will not tell you details because it's nothing. It's changed. Because now I did that in evenings. I switch off television because it's too many hard pictures. It attacks us every day. I am checking information in internet in the morning, afternoon. I'm looking for better energy for rest of day and next day. It's no in Poland. It's no war, but we every one of us and countries surrounded Russia all the time worry that everything can happen.
Can you go next?
Okay, thanks.
Jadwiga,
Yes.
I have to tell you that Jim just walked in and he's listening and he wants to say a few words and share. He actually shared his father's book. His father was Polish, as you know.
I know.
And
I know this book, part of this
yes,
book because they
yes,
sent me. Yeah, I know this whole this
yes.
story of his granddad.
So I will ask him to join, but just so you know, especially for this event, we were discussing how it's so important to gather people and just bring in the light and also hope that, like Clarissa was saying, that the fire gets tapped down, that this
Yeah.
stops, because if it goes out of control, it's just
Yes.
really it has to be tapped down. So this time of spring solstice is a time when so many people around the world are celebrating and inviting the light after months of darkness. And the Persian New Year is about that. And of course, people from Iran know exactly what it means to be oppressed, and how important it is to gather and celebrate. So it's very difficult for me to have so many friends. Anna, who's also joined us, we've been collaborating for so long now during the pandemic, and she's been helping people and doing whatever she can. And it's just, we just have to at least be together and support each other. So know that very much our light and love is going in your direction, and for all the people in that area, that whole part of the world, including
Oh,
the Russians who are under this horrendous government, really. Let's see if Jim is here to join us to follow. It's a perfect thing to follow you. There he is. Hi, Jim.
Hi,
Thank.
hi, and hi, everybody.
hi.
Hi, Jadwiga.
Hi. Nice to see you again.
So I have in the back here. This is for Cassie. This was our Christmas present, which is Czech flag. So I have to give it to her sometime.
That's
so
a
I couldn't
whole
find.
other story.
Yeah, I couldn't find an Iranian flag, but I'm
sure you
so,
can be helped.
So firstly, let me say, I'm going to talk about the dragon, but first I'll say what I made for the event. So I made a salad a Shirazi. It's a type of
Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh.
okay. It's like cucumber, tomato, and some onions and parsley in there. Okay. The second thing I wanted to show you is this.
Oh.
You can tell about my artistic capabilities with paint. It's like inspired by the Scottish, what's his Braveheart, right? Okay, so I do want to say before I talk about the dragon, a connection my family has to Iran. So during the war, as Jadwiga knows, I put up a link in the book, his story, where, when the war started, the Russians came into Poland and they were all taken away and put in camps in Siberia. Unfortunately, it seems like the Russians are starting to do that now. It's so frightening. But anyway, during the war, he joined the British Army, which is a weird story. But anyway, he was in this camp, and the whole family had to move eventually to Monte Cassino, where there was a big battle. And the younger members of the family, as they passed through Iran, and actually my family, it would be my aunts and uncles and so on. They were young, and they stayed in a place called Isfahan to the end of the war. And Isfahan was actually known as the city for Polish children. So the Iranians, they welcomed, the refugees, and they actually lived in this city, which was full of Polish children. Maybe I've got some details wrong, but okay, dragons. So my current project this year is to build a dragon. And we actually have built a dragon in the laboratory. And it's a thing called a dragon king. And it's a very interesting phenomenon. For a long time, I've been studying stuff to do with self-organization, how from some chaotic something suddenly appears, like you would know, like a meme, or suddenly you would have a giant earthquake. And if you look at the statistics of these things, you have many small earthquakes and very few big ones. So there's a kind of drop off. Big, not many big ones and many small ones. And it follows a kind of relationship. Unfortunately, people are finding it doesn't. And instead of dropping off like something that should be completely improbable, should basically happen every million years or so, we find there's a peak. Suddenly these things become very probable. Extreme events become very probable. And in fact, if you look at wars, earthquakes, you find that although there are very few big ones, there are more big ones than you would expect. And so we generated a machine that can generate this behavior. So the behavior is called dragon kings. The reason for dragon is a very exotic, rare creature. And king, it refers to the fact that such a dragon can accumulate so much, ridiculous amounts of wealth and so on. And if you look at kings, you find that, in terms of the amount of land they own, the amount of money they have and so on, and the amount of power they have, it's anomalous. It's something that's totally anomalous in society. But it's a phenomena that's not anomalous in the sense that it happens. And that's called a dragon king. And in fact, if you think of, say, I don't want to be political, even though I got the Czech Republic flag out here. But if you look at people like Putin, I think he is an example in terms of the statistics of what he has as an example as the dragon king phenomena. And it seems like this dragon king phenomena, like the one person gets everything, but way beyond probability, is not confined to human beings or social behavior. It occurs even in how things break, fracture dynamics. They don't just break in a soft way, they break in a sudden explosive way. And that's the kind of dragon king phenomena. And the other dragon king phenomena that can occur is things like rogue waves, giant waves that are way beyond what are expected. And also what we see in the environment today. So I think that's my monologue. And so it's great that we're celebrating this Iranian New Year. And so happy New Year to everyone in Iran. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Amazing as always. Can you stop sharing, Jim? or oh no, that's me. Sorry, apologies. I was doing this spotlighting. So let's just say hello to a few of our esteemed guests. Amir, did you want to share something with us?
Yes, hi. Hello. This is my first time joining this wonderful, can you hear me?
Cool.
Wonderful.
Well, next time you're going to be featured because you're a snake, and that's what we're doing next.
Yes, I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm learning to understand what to do with it. So I'm very happy about the presentations today. Thank you, everyone. I'm also very happy that Kathy was mentioning that she was confused about being a snake or a dragon. And the thing is, I always thought I was a dragon till not long ago when you asked me to figure out what I was. So thank you for helping me figure that out. But what's also interesting is that there's a snake and dragons are good friends, it seems. And in Persian mythology, the story has it that dragons are snakes that have been living for over 100 years. So once you surpass 100 years, that longevity turns into a dragon.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they turn into water, so they become water dragons. But
Perfect.
in relation to that, something that came to my mind is that in Iran, I believe it's the morning of the first day of the new year, they eat rice plus I think it's wheat noodles that's brown. So I thought it was very befitting to have a dish that I would like to share with you today, which is here that you can see.
Oh,
So it's the noodles plus rice. And since Dragon seems to be liking pistachios, so I added some Persian pistachios in there as well, and some almonds too. And then you see some hyacinth as well, which is very befitting for the
amazing.
Persian New Year. So I know we have to wrap up, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but here's to all of you guys for longevity because the 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 uh, the noodles represent longevity. So it's
Yes.
and dragons, since they are 100 years old and further up, it's all about longevity. So I wish you all a great, healthy year and for many years to come. So
Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
so happy you shared that. And we have Extine, who's joining us from Texas, the Tigress.
Hi, Victoria. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Well, I wanted to share just a couple of very different things. One is that I've been very delighted to have some students from Iran. And so my food item to share is a memory. It's a memory of a food item that one of my students, Maeda, would make for me every year on my birthday while she was here as an MFA student. So maybe I can share the screen or just put in the chat here. I try share the screen. Let's see what happens. Maybe. Oh, Zoom is
Oh, you can do it.
crazy.
You can do
Love
it.
your glowing headband.
Oh, it's very nice.
I went with the green that I had.
There you go. And I like how the dragon is on your right shoulder.
There. Zoom is just, I'm also on a borrowed computer. My computer sort of went a little nutty. So what I'll do is see if I can just post to the chat maybe. But I was going to share a picture of Maeda and the beautiful baklava she would make for me.
Oh, baklava,
So if
yes.
it's possible, I try to share that. But otherwise, I'll just tell you that it was delightful. It doesn't look like it's working, so it's okay.
It's okay. You'll share it later and we'll add it.
You get the idea. But
do mention your new book that
I
you just
will.
published.
Sure. A couple of things. One is some books that are not mine, but books that I would read to my twin boys when they were a little bit younger. This won't show because it's got a green cover. Look at that.
Ah.
Invisible The invisible book
There you go.
with the dragon on it. Have you seen my dragon? Which in the end is a tromp through New York City and lands in
What?
Chinatown. I think that's an
Uh-huh.
earth dragon. The other is Dragons Love Tacos.
Oh, that's
Fire dragon,
cool.
I think. So I had to think of some things that resonated with the dragon. And I always think about these books and how much my kids enjoyed reading about dragons in all their fictitious forms.
Yeah, yeah.
But thank you also for prompting me. It's the book that that just has been published and that Victoria and Siddharth participated in is called Art as Social Practice, Technologies for Change. And it's, I think of myself also as a hybrid, Kathy, just like you said, wearing a lot of different hats, I guess. So and I'm an artist, but also really enjoy creating opportunities for other artists to write about their work, reflect on their work, share their work in pages of books. And so this collection has 25 artists who have shared their works that include technology, that use technology or that misuse technology for the purpose of coming together and creating communities and kind of striving towards social change in all different forms. So thank you for including me today, just briefly, Victoria.
Wonderful.
Thanks
Thank
for
you. And that book is so great for us who teach, and arts in particular, the idea of community and social activism is so critical right now.
Yeah.
So quickly over to Lily in Ljubljana.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. It's been a really amazing and enriching experience. And I will just show you, actually, my dragon food is quite raw. And let me do. Right, so I come from a dragon city. This is the coat of arms of Ljubljana with a dragon. And then, as Victoria mentioned earlier, there's a dragon bridge with a huge dragon, and this is like a little bit from.
Yeah, they're everywhere in Ljubljana. It's incredible.
And this is from the time of the opening of the bridge, which was still in the Habsburg monarchy. And then we also have Proteus, or what we call human fish, and actually they call them small dragons. And they live for over 100 years in Postojna cave. And for the first time in the history, they had offspring a few years ago. So lots of small dragons. So this is the usual one. And then there is also a black dragon, a black Proteus, a black like human fish in another area that they're trying to protect. So this is my share of dragons.
Thank you, Lily. Can you tell me why they picked dragon for Ljubljana? I've visited so many times, I never knew.
I think it is from the Argonauts, the Jason, who stole this gold sheepskin, and they fled from Greece by boat. So going up through Belgrade and then the Sava down to near Ljubljana, where the river ended. So they had to disassemble the boat, but on their way they fought he fought a dragon. So it's from this story, because then they carried the boat through like on the land, and then they came to the Adriatic Sea where they reassembled it.
I see. Yeah. Amazing.
So
Thank you. Now I know. Hopefully, I get to visit soon
yeah,
when
yeah,
all the fires settle down. Hey, Anna, do you want to say a word close by to
Yeah,
Ljubljana?
I guess I have to say a word because Krakow is a dragon city, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Amazing.
we have this famous legend. I mean, you can come to Krakow and there is a dragon at the foot of the Wawel Hill. So yeah, there was a legend about a dragon that once actually was living, yeah, was lived close to a Wawel castle. And of course, this dragon was in the legend. He's pictured as monster who devours young women and feasts on human being, preferably like I said, girls and young women. And at some point, he's being defeated by a man who offers him a sheep stuffed with sulfur. So there is a mineral, trace to this legend. So the dragon eats this stuffed animal and just explodes, and that's how the legend goes.
And Siddharth is horrified because she's sheep.
Yeah, yes. So the legend is, I think, perfect for some mythopoetic work with it, because of course there are some traces of how this legend was probably based on some other much older versions where well, there's a feminist version of it, right? Like this dragon actually stands for old women who are who were sort of vilified during the history. So the dragon replaces an entity that was probably very wise and old and capable of connecting with non-human beings, and it was consecutively presented as a monster rather than the source of knowledge. So I had to mention this legend because whenever I go to Krakow, I always see this dragon that is actually a statue, and this dragon actually emits the fire. You can a couple of years ago we could put a coin and then this statue would emit would blow the fire actually, so would blow the fire.
Amazing.
So,
thank you so much, and thank you for all your great work that you're doing that and helping people. It's so touching to me.
Actually, there's so many people, it's amazing what is happening here in Poland. It's just as Jadwiga said, actually, the whole work is done by volunteers.
Yes,
so it is amazing. It is
amazing. It really gives hope to humanity to see how people help each other, and you can see the few are oppressing the many.
So one more story. I just saw it yesterday. A colleague showed me. In Kyiv, the capital city of Ukraine that is under siege, almost under siege, there are people who just go from, apartment to apartment looking for stranded animals, stranded pets, like cats and dogs, and they feed them. Because people who are, like people who evacuated from the city, and they were extremely frightened. So often they just forgot their animals in apartments. So there's amazing crew of people who just looks for those animals and feeds them. So I think it's worth mentioning here that HOX ZODIAC.
Absolutely. In fact, there's an organization that's specifically for helping animals. So it's not only pets, but domestic animals, and they must be so frightened and confused. It must be just awful, along with the human animals who are creating the chaos. Is anybody else? Oh wait, Deborah, say a word.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for all the contributions. It was really, really interesting. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm a tiger. My husband's a dragon. I don't know. It just came up. I thought because Victoria
Oh, wow.
mentioned
Amazing.
that. Yeah, so that's
He
gonna
should
be
have
interesting.
joined us today. We should have
I
had
know, but
him.
he's out with his son right now. So,
Okay.
but I just want to share what I cooked because I followed on the calendar. Let me just show you right here. I made
Oh,
this.
yeah. Oh, beautiful.
And so basically, I just made a tuna salad with some olive oil and lemon juice, some garlic, and some red onion, and some radishes and cucumbers. Basically, pretty much what's on the plate here, what Victoria provided. And I love what I love about the HOX Zodiac is like when you eat it, you really are more focused on the now and eating it in the now and being grateful for what it is and how really it affects different parts of the body, whatever you eat. And I just really appreciate this awareness and being in the moment with food because it's not taken for granted. Also tying into the war again, like just being appreciative of what we have. And that's pretty much, yeah, that's the dish that I made today.
Thank you, Deborah.
Of course, you're welcome. I ate it while you guys were sharing. It was really good. Thank you.
Well, that's the idea. You take a picture and then you eat while we're meeting. Yeah. So for last word, we're going to ask Jadwiga to say a word that she wanted to follow, following Anna's story.
I wanted to send picture, but okay, later.
Did you want to say something, Jadwiga?
No, I wanted only to send the picture of the statue about what Anna told you.
Okay.
I see
No,
that
we'll add it for
did it.
sure. Yeah, we'll add it for sure. We're going to edit this into bits because it's easier for people later.
And of course, the dragon now is make us something more familiar and is a lot children's story than he's someone good.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, I think we're going to come to a close, and Siddharth's going to say a few words, and then we'll just quietly send good energy to all the fire dragons, the cobalt blue fires, wired water stuff that's out of control, and try to cool it. Siddharth, all yours. You're muted, I think. There we go.
I want to share what I made today for the dragon Persian New Year. So I took eggplants and then I salted them, added peppers, and then sauteed onions, and then that was a smoky onion saute with turmeric, and then this was like a korse badmidjan. It was really, really yummy. And I added the eggplants and added some Indian stuff with a crunchy papad next to it. So I was very excited and it tastes really, really good. So I want to thank you for making me more inventive about my food today. So, but I want to end with thinking about how dragons represent both the mythological aspect of things and also the future aspect of things, and how we have so many myths around it, but we can also now talking about engineering things and how we both look in the past and in the future. And with the stuff that's happening is we shouldn't forget our history and be aware that things can happen in the future that have already happened in the past, and we should be careful about what can of worms we open. And so that's something that I wanted us to think about and thank all the animals around us, and be cognizant of what we eat and how we share it with both our human animals as well as the other kinds of animals that we constantly engage in. So thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you. And let's just take a moment of silence and remind ourselves what animals we are, and just sending good energy on this solstice day reminding ourselves that so many people are celebrating the light and the joy, and bringing that to the dark time that we somehow fell into, and tapping into all the people who are celebrating not only the Persian New Year, but also the solstice, as Kathy mentioned, all over the world.
It's the equinox, not the
It's
solstice.
equinox, apology. And it really is about bringing in the light. And to me, I agree with what you mentioned. Somebody mentioned it should be the first year. It should be the new year. It really is a new beginning. It really is when new life sprouts. And we just want to be quiet for a minute and send peaceful energy, connect to the light. Thank you.
Thank you. And one other thing to consider, the equinox is when day and night, light and dark are equal. And so we want to bring in balance.
Balance. That's the key word we end with. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Kathy, for mentioning.
This was such a beautiful gathering, and I'm so happy for the people that showed up around here. An amazing group of animals. We'll send little bits of this, and you're going to be in the cookbook that we're doing, the dragon cookbook. Lots of love to everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, Dee.